Well, welcome everyone. And we're calling in from the Bay Area, north of San Francisco. So it's nice to be here together. And we'll start with maybe a short meditation, like an introduction to the nature of mind. And it's like a 2-3 minute meditation. So you can just sit comfortably or walk. Then it's good to keep eyes open. You can have eyes open or closed. That's also perfect. And after that, we'll go into a little share and presentation about finding rest in the empowered mind, and also have questions and shares after. Good. So I'll start with that meditation.
And feel free to turn your cameras off or on during, like, anywhere during our time together. Yeah. Thank you, Kati.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, so we'll take a moment and sit or walk comfortably, and close your eyes and take a deep breath. Deep briefly in and breathe out. Repeat that a couple of times. And let the breath flow naturally while resting your mind and body, letting all the thoughts and emotions come and go, like the waves on an ocean come and go. And while there's many thoughts and sensations, maybe thoughts about being here or what we do afterwards, letting them all come, be there and dissolve. There's something about you that is stable and clear, naturally present. Something about you that is indestructible. What's looking right now through your eyes, with eyes closed or open. With open intelligence. And when we stop thinking for a moment, we can only do that for a brief moment. What remains? There's a clarity, presence, alertness, and open intelligence. And obviously there are thoughts coming in and maybe a sensation or feelings, and they're all inseparable from this open intelligence that is always present, whether we are thinking or not thinking. So we don't have to not think. We just allow everything to be as it is. There's without any effort, like just one short moment of open intelligence at a time. The nature of mind, what's looking, is like a crystal ball. Our mind is clear and stable, and all the reflections within a crystal ball, they don't affect the crystal ball. That's the nature of our own mind. So we rest naturally in that open intelligence. We can take another few deep breaths. And if you had your eyes closed, and open them again. And come back here to the presentation. And also welcome to everyone who joined along the way. We were just having a short introductory meditation to the nature of mind, and so welcome to everyone. And Jochen, do you want to start with the presentation?
Yeah. Let me just see here where I can move. Okay, maybe I'll just keep that here. Good. Now I can see everybody who is on camera. So as we said, keep cameras on or off, however you feel most comfortable. We'll have a few minutes here with the presentation, just to give maybe an overview, and then we would love to especially hear from you about your experience with your practice, any questions that you have for us today. And so building on, in case you've been here last week or saw the recording, building on what we were sharing last week, we wanted to dive a little more deeply into how we have trained ourselves, how most people around us probably deal with our thoughts and emotions, and then show the different choice of relying on open intelligence. And as Kati just shared in the meditation, in open intelligence, likened to a crystal ball here, thoughts and emotions vanish naturally, leaving no trace, like reflections in a flawless crystal ball. The crystal ball itself is indestructible, regardless of what appears within it. So you can see that the thought that you had a moment ago is completely gone. It didn't leave a trace in the nature of mind, right? The intelligence, the awareness by which you recognize the current thought or listen to my voice is completely unaffected by the thought you had a minute ago or last week. So there's this bare intelligence, the clear knowing itself that knows all thoughts, but is in itself undistracted, unencumbered by all the thoughts. The power of our mind, open intelligence, is unavailable when there is effort to regulate the flow of data. So when we're focused on all the images in the crystal ball, just stay with that analogy, then that's where all our focus, all our energy, all our power goes into describing the constantly changing thoughts and emotions and trying to regulate that flow, to have them, typically we want to have nice thoughts and feelings and sensations, and not have the bad ones. So that is what we mean with regulating the flow of data. And data is a word that we use to describe all thoughts, emotions, sensations, anything that appears in the mind. So all the reflections in the crystal ball. And typically, most of us divide our data into positive, negative, and neutral categories. We're constantly trying to control our thoughts, emotions, speech, and actions in order to make them positive rather than negative. And we'll go a little more into the means that we have trained ourselves, usually as humans growing up in our society, to do that. Maybe, Kati, do you want to take the next slide here?
Okay, yes, it is believed that being a good person comes from the effort involved in organizing our data into those that would be considered good. Yes, so you probably all know, I know my experience trying to be good or positive and have positive moods, or be kind and nice, and trying to get the positive data or positive thoughts, have positive emotions. So this effort that can come from that. We all have probably our own ways of doing something like that, and especially before I heard about this teaching, I tried to meditate in a certain way to get rid of my thoughts and get rid of and cultivate kindness. So these kinds of efforts I remember doing, and just knowing the basis for ultimate goodness in human beings is an innate quality of mind. So getting to know the nature of our own mind, open intelligence, we call that innate goodness. And that, of course, I mean, here to recognize open intelligence is something we really want to know in our own experience and not just have a theoretical idea about it. So that's why we speak a lot about the short moments, because we don't really have to get into any state. So that's kind of that's sometimes effortful. I remember it in my experience with any kind of meditation practice where I tried to get into a state of calm or no thought, and so that's where the short moments of open intelligence can be done. Even, we have here some who are taking a walk, or you're out and about and you might see many people, and we can meditate, so to speak, or take a short moment wherever we are, just right here, recognize that quality of mind, open intelligence. And we may have juggled data, hoping this would provide relief. Yes, so juggling data, I can, if we see someone juggling many balls, that's sometimes how it feels, trying to keep everything in place. Data meaning, again, thoughts, emotions, or sensations, trying to keep everything in place. Maybe not only our own thoughts and emotions, maybe also from other people, keeping it controlled and or in a certain way, looking for relief. So great, maybe you want to start here. The 4 ways on how.
Yeah, so they're typically, if you boil it all down, if you've heard some of the talks maybe online or read any of the books that you can find on Amazon or download from the app, you probably have noticed that part of the power of the teaching is that we really distill things to their essence. And so while there are like countless practices and approaches that we can use to control the flow of our thoughts and emotions, when we look at it from like 10,000 feet from a little higher and can see what we're actually doing, we can see that we either indulge thoughts and emotions, or we try to avoid them, or we try to replace them, or we let them be as they are. And so we'll dive into each one of those a little more deeply. So the first one, thoughts and emotions are indulged. You see, like in the little character there, who has heated thoughts and emotions and is getting really hot with them. So like, just imagine a good example, I think, for many of us is that if we get angry about something and then immediately all the stories are coming. So we make stories around like why we're angry, and we repeatedly think about it. We describe everything we feel and maybe everything we've always felt and why we feel that way. And then we think about prior situations that elicited the same thing, and then we hop onto why does this always happen to me, or like you can just see how we're like a frog hopping from one lily pad to another. It's exactly like that. So that's when all the focus is on the thoughts and emotions, and we're diving right in there. So that's the first approach that we can take with thoughts and emotions. And then the second is we try to avoid certain thoughts and emotions. Typically, that would be the ones we think are bad. Say, I don't know, if you're in a relationship with somebody and then you think you should not have feelings of attraction towards somebody else, and so you do everything you can for these thoughts not to come up, because you think they indicate maybe that you're not a good partner, or that you're a bad person, or and this may not be true for any of you, But I certainly have experienced that, or also with the example of anger before. I definitely learned that being angry just in general means that I'm like not good enough. In the original culture I grew up in, Christianity, it's considered one of the sins to have anger. And then when I learned about like Eastern philosophy and karma, and then I thought, with every time I get angry, I increase my negative karma. And so I got angry at myself for getting angry. And so but I tried to do everything I could to not get angry in the first place. And sometimes, like in this little clip here, we might not answer the phone if we know that the person who is trying to call us might make us angry. So we're just ignoring it and trying to push it away. And Kati, do you want to take the next one here?
Thank you. Thoughts, emotions are replaced. Okay, I like that one. So you can see here we have the angry or the fiery thoughts, or any kind of things that are uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable, and then the ice cream looks really nice, lollipop. I'm not sure the rubber duck, but yeah, could be. But it's more the symbol of, I like to have some chocolate, and a chocolate cake looks very good, and rather than feeling all the negative thoughts. So these are just examples how we try to replace or cultivate kindness, like I mentioned before, cultivate positive thoughts, are actively cultivated like that. We try to think something good, to not being afraid of our thoughts and emotions, and trying to cultivate something better. And that has a certain effect also. It's it can be sometimes very handy. At the same time, it's a life of ups and downs, and it feels like, oh, how to deal with always the unexpected, negative, uncomfortable feelings and thoughts. What to do when I suddenly feel angry or frustrated, and is there something to rely on that is stable and indestructible? So there we are pointing to the fourth way of how we can use our mind. And maybe we can go to that next. Thoughts and emotions. So in this teaching with open intelligence and with the nature of mind, looking at something about us that is stable, clear, empowered, and the power to know. So we what to do there? We let thoughts and emotions be as they are. So it's a very different approach to all the other ones we've just looked at, where we try to avoid or replace, or even like really try to figure something out and indulge it. So we test for a short moment to let thoughts and emotions be as they are. Let the thought come, let the emotion, the uncomfortable feeling, be as it is. Just as thoughts and emotion arise, they flow on by. Thinking of a river, but here we have the birds also, so they are like birds in the sky. They leave no trace, and open intelligence is open like the sky. It's vast, and all the thoughts and emotions are the dynamic energy of open intelligence, like the birds in the sky. They leave no trace, and the bird's flight path vanishes without a trace. So we recognize that in a short moment of open intelligence, that thoughts and emotions, they come and they vanish naturally, leaving no trace. And the birds are a great metaphor for that. When we look into the sky, the color blue in the sky is also a beautiful metaphor, because it's like all the thoughts and emotions, the data, are inseparable from this open intelligence, like the color blue in the sky. So that's what we don't have to really think about that, but that is more and more that becomes obvious when we rest for short moments in open intelligence. So that's that fourth approach, so to speak, where we dare to let all the thoughts and emotions be as they are for a short moment. John, did you want to?
Sure. Yeah. So when we recognize, that in essence we are the crystal ball, we're not defined by the images, and we find the direct, immediate relief in that recognition. We recognize instinctively with that there is actually nothing that we need to do about our thoughts and emotions. So, it is not about never feeling uncomfortable again. Like, I feel uncomfortable here and there, or I feel angry here and there, I feel sadness here and there. But it's something that, these feelings arise, and I know I don't need to do anything about them. I can just rest as the crystal ball. And then it's almost like magic, but it self-releases. Like, the less I try to do anything about it and just rest in the nature of mind, I can recognize all of this self-releases. There's like all the effort that I have applied for all my life in trying to manage my thoughts and emotions and experiences, it was unnecessary, essentially. And we can rely on the power of open intelligence in our everyday life. And that means that by resting as the nature of mind, inseparable from that, our clarity and discernment on how to act comes about just from a moment of rest. We know what to do, just like all other animals on this planet don't need to think about their next action. Humans are animals too, so we can learn to relax as that instinctive knowing of what to do in every circumstance. If we have positive thoughts, that's fine. If we have negative thoughts, that's fine. Whatever happens, happens. If we get distracted or not, that's fine. So even now, that we know that the power is in open intelligence and we should just let all thoughts be as they are, we'll catch ourselves a million times being absorbed again in the thoughts and emotions. And that's okay, because even then, even in the distraction, the basis of that is still open intelligence. It just wasn't recognized, but it's unharmed by the non-recognition. Just like the crystal ball, really, no thought or emotion, including the sense of being distracted, do anything to the crystal ball itself. So whatever happens, let it happen, and recognize open intelligence. What's looking? What's listening to that constant chatter in your mind? Thoughts and emotions self-release like mist in the air. Nothing need be done about them. So our invitation for you is to test short moments for today. And you may have done this already, maybe for many days. We'd love to hear, in fact. And so go through the questions for reflections that empower instinctive recognition. We'll actually do that together in one of the upcoming meetings. So for today, what we mostly wanted to start with is, how is that for you? What is that like for you to recognize the nature of mind? And I'll stop the screen share here, Kati. Is that good? So we can see each other. So if you want to turn on your cameras, those who would like, would be nice to see you. And let us know. We're really curious to hear, like, what is your experience of what we've just been sharing about, and maybe it's all new and you had no idea what we were talking about, or maybe you say, oh yeah, that's like the most normal thing, and doesn't everybody know that? We have no idea. So we'd love to hear from you, and you can just unmute and share or ask if you have any questions as well.
Hi.
Hi, Alex.
Hi. I that was another great talk. Thank you for that. I started practicing short moments after the talk last week, and yeah, it was interesting. After, like, for the first couple of days after that, I felt very like this underlying happiness and peace underlying everything. So that was really nice. I guess my question is, when we do a short moment, do we have to have that conscious recognition of the awareness? Or is it more just a matter of just resting because we already are that awareness? Is it just resting and then letting things be as they are, and then that recognition just like arises by itself? I guess I think because I have quite an active mind, so I think I almost try to make something to do out of like the recognition in a short moment. Would that make sense?
That is so insightful. It's quite amazing. Yeah. Yes to all of that. Essentially, even the moment of recognizing awareness itself is another perception, right? Because it's like what we perceive as awareness. So it's like looking in the mirror and seeing yourself. It's still a reflection, even though but so what you were saying is exactly right. You can just rest. You could say non-conceptually or without the thought or the conscious recognition of, oh, right, this is awareness. But it also is totally fine to have that, like, or take that or have one of the metaphors. Like I found that sometimes helpful, especially like I have a very active mind as well. And so for me, sometimes I could see it was easy to get distracted by my effort to rest properly, like to be a good rester. And then sometimes just dropping it all and maybe, looking at, like literally looking at the sky and blending, you could say, the mind with the sky, or thinking of the crystal ball and the like, or any of the other metaphors, was helpful to have that, as you call it, and that instinctive moment of rest, and just rest there without any direct like conscious thought about it. Or yeah, does that make sense, Katja? I don't know, maybe you want to share your experience as well.
No, that was perfect, but yeah, that's perfect. I mean, it's like gaining confidence in awareness and open intelligence. It becomes more and more obvious. So the more one exposes oneself to a short moment or to hearing like open intelligence teachings, or reading a book about open intelligence that evokes that, makes it more obvious. It's always there, but it becomes more, yeah, the confidence grows, and then there's just that's obvious at all times. That's why we say short moments, repeated many times, until it becomes obvious. It's like many times, and sometimes we don't have no idea what that short moment is or what that open intelligence is. That I remember many times thinking, what is actually a short moment, or what is open intelligence? And even without knowing it totally, it becomes obvious. And yeah, but and then we sometimes think about it, and sometimes it's just helpful to take a short moment, not even knowing what that means. But you had already amazing results, like that moment of peace, because something happens in that moment. That's already our natural state. It's like, okay, it's confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you both. That's really helpful. So basically, it's just like it's really doing nothing at all then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's great news. Thank you.
Yes, it's exactly that. It's really great news. For me, it was like, wow, it's like great news that I have to not actually effort so much to get anywhere. So there's nothing to really get or go to. And still that gaining confidence, that's why we are offering such teachings, to make it really obvious and then gain in daily life, because we never know what happens in life and things come up. And so it's like training a muscle, basically, like going to the gym. Yes, it's like a bit more making, even though nothing really grows or goes anywhere, but at the same time, it's a confidence. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? There are no bad or wrong questions or experiences. So feel free to ask or share anything. Hello, Jakub.
Hello, hi. I'd like to tell about my experience, but also I'm searching for headphones, but I think they won't be necessary. Okay, so hello everybody. Hello.
Hello.
I'm happy that I could do this time to join you. I couldn't do it last time, so I'm very happy. So I find short moments very helpful. It made my life just a lot easier than it was before, and I can accomplish more things. Not exactly, I don't feel really free, but definitely I feel more opportunities in daily life, so that's amazing. And I don't feel that there is anything that one could do because all the other things requires effort, and effort means that we are holding on to something. I often imagine like we are holding some technique in our hands, and we can't do anything more with our hands, so we are busy always trying to hold something. So these short moments are like dropping everything from our hands, and we can just relax. So that's great. I try to maintain my focus to be aware all the time, like forceful every second, but it was impossible to do. I just couldn't do it for more like a week, and I was exhausted, and automatically I was searching for another technique, so-called, and I always came back to short moments. It feels the most natural, but these moments are really short, like 1 second, and it's gone for another minute, hour, and another 1 second of short moment, and it's gone. So if I think about, but I really often read the books from the app. I think I read all of them like twice. There's said that we maintain we do short moments until it becomes continuous. That for me is unbelievable to achieve. I can't imagine like someday I want to do any other short moment, and because it won't be necessary. That's beyond my imagination to stay in this knowing field. It would be really beautiful because I know it would be awesome, but somehow I really can believe it, and I am waiting for that moment. So I am still really trying to escape that my emotions, etc. But I try. Like I said, I don't feel there is another thing to do except for short ones. So thank you for introduction of that way. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for sharing. That's amazing and also really powerful and great. You read all the books, and the books do really evoke that open intelligence, and it's very normal to have it a very short moment of open intelligence, so that these moments are very short in the beginning, and like you shared, basically one, and then it slips away again. And it's actually really good that you're not trying to prolong them or make them forcefully happen, that's why it often says, so whenever you remember, you take a short moment. And then, of course, exposing yourself to these books or to meetings like this confirms it also more. And it is really unbelievable. Hearing that short moments becomes continuous, open intelligence becomes continuous, and in my experience, it's kind of amazing to see how these short moments were, because I came and I had so many ideas about how it should be, and then experiencing these short moments and seeing how they become obvious, that there's no doubt and there's no effort. So that's really beautiful, and it's something that it happens because it's our natural state. It's already there, and it and that obviousness becomes naturally. We just get used to it. Basically, we get used to it. But like you said that there may be also some emotions and thoughts, and we were thinking the next weeks we want to share a bit about this fundamental teaching that we also share. It's called the 12 empowerments, and that what it does, and we wanted to share here a bit more about the steps of those and how to take that practice into our everyday life, and where is it more difficult to rest. So there are some times and areas and environments, like sometimes easier in nature to take short moments, or it's easier when we don't have anger, when we don't get triggered by ourselves or other people, and then it's easier to take short moments. And so how to integrate these short moments and make it obvious into our specific circumstances and relationships. And there's direct support and ways of making that easier and making that become obvious also in those times when it's most difficult to take a short moment. So we will do that, but in the meantime, we have it just to continue with these short moments. Oh, that's perfect. I don't know, Jochen, if you had something else there.
I think that will be great, actually. I think for me, what was really helpful was to become more clear, like experientially, what happens to me when I'm not resting, you could say. So it's almost like being aware while getting lost into, whatever it is that is challenging for my practice, and to just be more clear on the dynamic or on the mechanisms, you could say, that are playing out that make me completely forget about the nature of mind, because it's so compelling. Like we just reflected, this was 18 years ago, Kati, I forget always. Anyway, a long time ago, we did the empowerments together, and we were sitting together in India, and we were getting into one of our like typical conversations. We're both psychologists, and so typically those conversations would bring us like into the depth of our psychology. And for me, often with my upbringing, my parents, or like something very simple could trigger the entire path. And to just see how that habit plays out in one's mind while it's happening is really powerful, because then you can see, wow, there is actually this choice I have right now. I can either continue to go down this road that I have gone down a million times before, trying to analyze myself, my partner, my parents, and why it's like that, and how can I escape it? Or I can take this moment of rest. And every time we choose that moment of rest, you could say it's like this pattern is outshone. It gets lighter and lighter. So even though you may not recognize what happens between your short moments, you could say, with each short moment, your confidence in the true nature of mind grows and deepens. So you may find yourself, even if you fall asleep, so to speak, between those two short moments, that you're in a much lighter sleep. It's much easier to remember that you have that choice, that most important choice we have to recognize the nature of mind. And then ultimately for me, that shift into having open intelligence be more and more the foreground of life rather than an unrecognized background, it happened so organically and gradually that I didn't even notice it. So I just remembered, as I reflected at the end of a day, wow, I didn't take many short moments, but I also didn't get lost in my thoughts and emotions. Like, it felt like more of an even flow during my day, even though I had a call with my mom and all these other things that often would trigger me. And so I could see that the presence of open intelligence was more stable and present, even though I didn't have conscious short moments. So it goes back a bit to the first share and question that we had. So with each moment of the direct recognition, we deepen that confidence and that presence, that obviousness, even when it seems not obvious.
Yes, thank you so much. For sure, I will continue the practice. Yes, I am very positive. So thank you for your feedback.
You're welcome, Jakub.
I have a question.
Hello.
Please.
When I wasn't here the last time, so but when Kathy guided, I heard it as she said, "There's a short moment with no thoughts." At least that's how I heard it, but I also understood it as it's actually continuous in a way, like you have the data of the thoughts, but do they disappear in a short moment, or how should I understand it?
That's a good question. Yes. Yes, in that introductory moment there, sometimes we say stop thinking, because then in that moment we can recognize the presence and what's looking, and just an alertness. And open intelligence is maybe there a moment more easy to recognize, but it's not the point to have no thoughts, even though all the thoughts are the dynamic energy of open intelligence. So they are inseparable. They are open intelligence. So we're not trying to not think. That's just first of all, but sometimes it's easier. I'll just see that we mute here. Good. Okay. That sometimes it's just easier to recognize open intelligence when we have a moment of not thinking and see the presence of open intelligence, but while there are thoughts coming, because we can't not think all the time, and getting into a state of no thought is I tried it a lot, it's exhausting. And so then thoughts come in, and you see the presence of open intelligence while we are talking here, while we are thinking and feeling things. And it may be more subtle and not so obvious, but it's right here. And then we see the dynamic, all these thoughts and emotions are the dynamic energy of that open intelligence. So they self-release. They do release quick, but it's not the point, because we cannot have open intelligence without data. So data is always present. Data meaning thoughts, emotions, sensations, all kinds of experience. It's a flow of that. Yeah, so we're recognizing it within all of that as that. It's inseparable. We done? necessarily have to totally think our way into it. The metaphors help to make it instinctive, but when you take short moments, let your thoughts be as they are, as open intelligence appearances. Because we also, they're useful. There's a power to know. It's more that we don't get caught up in all the descriptions. So in all our thoughts and emotions. Did you try a couple of short moments the last week?
I wasn't here last week.
You weren't there, right? I thought maybe you had the recording.
No, I have not. But
good.
I have listened to some things connected with open intelligence, but I would prefer to listen to that before. Yeah.
Yes. So okay, so yes, so the moment of open intelligence and short moments, you can test it out the next week and see how, without trying to have certain thoughts or no thoughts, open intelligence becomes more and more obvious just by taking these short moments. Whenever you remember, that's the effort. It's an effortless way, and because it's already in our natural state, and then just coming back to those meetings and hearing these talks and recordings, it will become obvious. It sounds almost too easy sometimes, but it's like that. Yes. And Jochen, did you have something?
No, that was perfect. Yeah, and great suggestion. And do we pronounce your name Isvar, or how do you? Yep. Okay. If you want a link to the recording from last week, if you didn't get that email, just reply to the invitation for today, and then we'll send you the link again to the recording from last week, and we'll also send out a recording of this conversation that we had today. So
thank you for that.
Yes, of course.
Oh, hello. Yes. Ashia.
Hi, can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I just have a question. Like, if I'm dealing with feelings of like guilt and shame and like low self-esteem, how do I want to say, how do I get rid of them? like I just want to feel great all the time. So what would be your recommendation?
Yes, well, thank you for sharing. And what have you tried before? Did you do meditation or any practices or?
Yes, I've been meditating daily since 2015. And I do a lot of different things. Like I go to the gym and I just try to reframe my thoughts. And visualization and
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I think many of us here can relate to such kind of feelings of shame and feeling insecure, not knowing, and these kinds of feelings that really want to get rid of them. And sometimes it feels also, oh yeah, let's take short moments and then hopefully they just are gone. And well, in my experience, just like that, initially with these short moments, they might these kinds of thoughts and emotions might sometimes get even stronger, but only because you actually, it is a familiarization with open intelligence and letting because we're so used to trying to get rid of things we feel uncomfortable. So it's a lot of struggle, and letting that, taking a moment and getting familiar with your natural state, where we let all these thoughts and emotions be as they are. They come up, and it's almost like we make friends, but it's not like an active act. They become less and less threatening. That's in my experience, like feelings of feeling insecure or not knowing, and shame, and maybe in social situations, and knowing what to rely on, a short moment. So you could test it in the next week when these kinds of thoughts and emotions come up, to take a short moment rather than looking how to deal with them. And it might not be so easy with some thoughts and emotions that really feel scary or feel uncomfortable, and really we want to just get rid of them. So familiarize yourself with a short moment, also in times when they're not there, because that builds up that muscle of open intelligence. So that's my experience. And then it gets easier to take a short moment with these kinds of thoughts and feelings, and they self-release. So what I see in myself is that those kinds of thoughts, and I felt a lot of that and it doesn't hold anymore. It's just like, so it might come, but it isn't really something that limits my actions or myself, really. So these short moments. So how to do that is like practice the short moments, also in times when it's easier to gain confidence in this natural state. But when the thoughts and emotions come, we cannot never choose. Then take that opportunity and try it out. A short moment for a week, and then share how that goes next week if you like. Jochen, maybe you want to share something there?
Yeah, that was so perfect. And I think, thank you, first of all, for asking the question also, because I do really feel most of us can connect, to like both feelings of guilt and shame, and also to like how unquestioned our belief is that we, in order to find real well-being, we need to not have those. Like it seems impossible to feel well-being, even though I also experience guilt and shame. But that is ultimately the power of this practice, is that there can be a thought or a feeling, or like a gut sensation of guilt or shame, and inseparable from that, a sense of ease and spaciousness, and you could say an acceptance without trying to accept, an acceptance that is innate because we recognize it's fine. I'm amazed by your diligence that you've been practicing meditation for 8 years daily. Like, I could never do that. I don't think that I would be able to do that. If you, and then all the other practices that you mentioned, like visualization and other things, exercising, you can still do these things. There's like nothing wrong with anything that we're doing. Nothing is like really opposed to just resting. But the point is that at the basis, like, say, if you are exercising, to, like Hattie said, also remember a moment of recognition there, and see, open intelligence on your spinning bike, or while you're I don't know, pumping weights or whatever it is that you're doing. Open intelligence is that which is visualizing. It's the awareness that is at the basis of whatever it is you're visualizing. So you can recognize that the same foundation of awareness, the same basis of mind, is present in all moments of your life, including when there is this more afflictive display. And then finding rest in that nature of mind, recognizing who you really are is unchanging, even in the direct experience, encounter of these like painful thoughts and emotions. And that's ultimately what I found happened, is that I became truly unafraid, like fearless in the face of fear, fearless in the face of feeling like paranoid when I'm in social circumstances. These kinds of experiences, because I found rest in that nature of mind, comfort in the nature of mind, and could then bring that into these different situations. What was that helpful for a start?
Yeah, so I just hear that you're saying just take short moments, rest in the nature of my mind, know that these afflictive states are not me, and that I'm just observing them, and continue to do my other practices and take short moments while I see them as well. And yeah, I'm just trying to summarize what you said. I probably missed some stuff, but
now this
thank
is
you.
This is a great start, and we'll make the recording available as well. Then you can also listen back. Maybe just as a small pointer, I know we're at the time here of our meeting, but it's not that you then need to keep observing them or trying to, try to observe them. It's more recognizing awareness itself for a moment. That's essentially that one, that what creates that space is, I'm actually not these thoughts and emotions. I'm that which is aware of them. And then rest in that recognition and let it continue. So we don't need to stay like a cat watching a mouse, and constantly like try and be aware. It's just these brief moments of recognizing you are the space in which the thoughts and emotions arise.
That's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. This was so much fun. Kati, we didn't announce that yet, but shall we just do this again next week? Is that good? Okay,
Perfect.
great. Good. Well, we'd love to see you again. And if you have any questions until then, just reply to the email invitation that had this link, or if you didn't get an email and you saw this on Instagram or somewhere, then get in touch with us as well, and we'll add you to the email list and make sure you get the link and information. And if you have any questions, let us know so we can integrate that.
Good. Thank you, everyone. It's good to be together.
Nice to see you all.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. See you again.
Bye.